Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Going Dark podcast. It has been a while, but this is episode 27. Uh,
hmm
and
We
listen, we've been gone for a little bit. There was New Year's, there was Christmas, there was just a little bit of stuff. I don't know. We had some guests lined up. A couple things didn't work out, but Chop, how we doing anyway? We're here. We're here.
I'm good, man. I'm good. Yeah, like I said, guys, it's been a little bit. We apologize for that, but obviously with holidays, New Year's stuff, and also like this is also the time that like the actual devs go on break as well. So there isn't as many active developments going on in Call of Duty at that time. So we're kind of like just kind of hanging out in the shadows for a bit, doing our own thing. But we heard y'all. We wanted to at least bring an episode this month. And yeah, we had guests lined up. They still will be coming on at some point, I'm sure.
Yes.
Sometimes it's just tricky, like scheduling with everyone. However, we do have some cool guests lined up that we will have on soon. But yeah, so it's been a little bit more quiet on the front, or you would think that unless you're chronically on Twitter, because it seems like everything is on fire if
It's
you're
crumbling.
spending a lot of time on social media. Yeah, exactly. And we can talk about that a little bit. I wanted to discuss the fact that I think Call of Duty and Treyarch specifically, I think, has been quick to respond to a lot of these things. They're not exactly the best responses all the time, but we know at least that they have an ear on the community. Whether or not they instantiate the action we want is a totally different story. But I mean, they're at least hearing us, and we can get to zombies later. But I want to ask you, because it's been a while since even you and I talked. So I wanted to ask you, like, how much COD you're playing right now. Like, what are your thoughts on
Yeah.
everything that's developing and the whole situation?
I mean, I'm playing a bunch of COD right now. Honestly, I'm probably playing the most COD I've played in a good while. Now, is it always Black Ops 6? No. As many of you probably know, I kind of do all CODs on the channel, but for Black Ops 6, I actually just did a tournament the other day, the Bot Bash, which Hitch puts on, and I had a blast on that game. Now, I was getting crapped on a lot of the time because I'm playing um what was his name? I can't. Bose, who was a former pro, and Havoc, who was a former pro and grinds 15 hours a day. But I still had fun. So I don't know, man. I wanted to have this podcast because we have talked about it. It just feels like I go on Twitter and it's negative. I go on
Yep.
YouTube and it's negative. Like I cannot escape negative Call of Duty content as much as I try. It's almost like you have to unfollow or mute or disconnect or unsub. I'm just gonna dive right into it actually because I kind of want to get these
No,
thoughts
go
out of my
ahead.
head.
Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like a lot of the people right now, and I'm not pointing out anybody in particular, I feel like it's almost like negative content always does better. So when you see a bunch of 9 out of 10s and 10 out of 10s on YouTube, which is like a
Yeah.
bad video if you guys don't do YouTube, and then you go Call of Duty is dying and it's a 1 out of 10, you go,
You go.
ooh,
Yeah.
something hit.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing a lot of people kind of get into that negative space that honestly have never been like that before. Um
Mhm.
and I think that there's ways. We'll talk about it back and forth, but I think that there's ways to do it. There's a few people that I think are doing it the right way. They're
Yeah.
doing content alongside. Hey, here's a video or two saying like we got a couple issues here and there. And I'm not saying Call of Duty is perfect at all right now. Call of Duty is never perfect. The product is never perfect.
Yeah.
And it could be, but I just think right now you're seeing a lot of people just kind of I don't know, fall into that negative space. And I almost feel like being like, hey man, go try something else for a little bit. I mean, I feel like that is what helps me. I don't know about you. I mean, we've talked about this offline. You do a lot of, Dark Souls and you do a lot of Destiny and Star Wars and I think for me that's the biggest thing when Warzone 2 was out and it was the worst it was ever been for me at least and I felt like Call of Duty was at its worst. I just took a break from it and kind
Yep.
of like, okay, I dove into some Star Wars content and I dove into some older CODs. And I feel like that kind of sparked the creativity again rather than sitting and doing Warzone 2 and complaining and going live and complaining. And
Yep. Yep.
man,
Yep.
it's just like, I feel like I really learned from Warzone 2 that it's like, okay, if it's not my game, We just got to do something else because every year there's a new COD. We're going to get a new COD next year, and it may be great, it may be bad, but at the end of the day, we can adjust to that. Um, and I still like Black Ops 6. I say this on stream all the time. I enjoy Black Ops 6. I think it's a good Call of Duty. It's probably one of the best multiplayers we've had for a while. And I'm still rambling. I feel like I got a couple more points, but I don't
No,
want to
go
take
ahead.
up any of your
Go
time.
ahead.
I just feel like right now the state of the game is more Twitter fingers than it is anything. I mean, it's still the number one game of it's number one on Xbox, I believe, and number two on PlayStation.
I
So
haven't checked this. I think it slipped recently. Like I think
yeah, it did the split. I think it slipped to Marvel Rivals, right? Is that
yeah,
crazy?
I'm pretty
Okay.
sure.
But yeah,
Um
summary, I'm enjoying the game still. Is it perfect? No. Is it as bad as everybody else is saying? No. And
yeah.
go ahead and say what you got to say because I
So
want to talk about something that I think Call of Duty should do in the next
sure,
couple
sure.
weeks.
So it's like I'll couple points I want to address. Number one, I completely agree with you as far as the creator side goes, where I've been on YouTube long enough, I've been doing this long enough to where I know this about myself, and you have to resist the urge. It's like if you see your views slipping at all,
Yeah.
and you with the normal content you're making, it's very tempting to reach for that pistol on your hip and be like, the Call of Duty sucks, right? Like you know, it's like it's
The
very
free
easy, it's
one
very
out of
tempting.
10.
Yeah, yeah, it's a free 1 out of 10. It's waiting for you. It's nice and shiny. Hey, this will be a lot of views, but that can take you down a very dark path, I think.
Yes.
And I've seen a lot of creators go down that very dark path and lose their careers for it. To be honest,
Yeah.
so it's a word of caution. Not that you can't criticize the game, and I think that's what we try to do here. Is because we love Call of Duty so much. I think we criticize it in a way that hopefully helps shape it into something better. Of course, you and I don't really call the shots as far as what goes on over there, but we can provide our input on what does. I think one of the things that sparked people's negativity, or at least amplified it, was the whole Squid Game situation.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. That's what I was going to talk to you about.
yeah, so I mean, like, I will say this. Like I know there was a handful of creators that got invited to like this IRL event to like promote it and stuff. I didn't get invited to that or anything. I don't really mind. It's just if I had, I still would feel the same way I do right now, which is like I think the game obviously had issues popping up around Christmas time, like around when the devs were going to be taking a break. And so there's these glaring issues in the game. And then
Mhm.
all of a sudden, Call of Duty starts promoting this Squid Game event. But the thing to consider is like, there's a couple things. Number one, the devs that are likely working on like making the Squid Game bundles and all these microtransactions are almost certainly not at all the same team that's responsible for fixing like major issues of the game. Those just aren't the same people. And also it's like a big deal with Netflix and Squid Game. Like this bureaucratic stuff was probably like already hard written in paper of like this is when it's going to be promoted, this is what it's
Yep.
going to look like way before Black Ops 6 even came out, I would assume, or at least pretty like months before all of this happened. So I think it's a case of really unfortunate timing. Is it distasteful? Yes, like hell yeah it is. Very tasteless to be promoting a bunch of microtransactions in this big event when the game is like, according to some people, on fire, but that's debatable. Um, I do think it's in poor taste to try to push this event like that.
I agree.
But that doesn't mean that if they didn't push the event, that all of a sudden these issues would just magically go away. Because like one of the big things that I see people complain about right now is the cheating situation in Warzone. And again, I don't take this with a grain of salt. I don't play Warzone. I haven't touched it in a long time, so I don't really know. But I did used to play a lot of PUBG in the past, and I watched that game like kind of uh, go down in flames because of cheaters, or at least that was accelerated. I saw the cheating situation happen in that game,
Yeah.
and it's not like there's this magical switch that devs can turn on and it just turns off cheats. Like it's a constant cat and mouse game, and there's always holes in the armor somewhere. And so there's always more creative ways for cheaters to pop in, and they also can't be upfront with what they're doing with anti-cheat, because them disclosing how their anti-cheat
Yeah.
works gives cheaters a workaround
Yeah.
into that. So they have
Yeah.
so it's not that they're not taking it seriously or addressing it. It's just that they kind of have to be quiet about it, otherwise it thwarts their own plan to stifle that. But I get it's annoying. Like it's frustrating as hell. I dealt with it in PUBG. I'm sure it's horrible in Warzone. I will say the zombies portion of Black Ops 6 right now still seems to be in the best shape. Like the red light green light event in zombies was admittedly kind of cringe. Um, that just seemed very slapped together. To be honest, it was kind of silly. Um, it was very pointless. But like, I didn't expect anything great
Mhm.
out of that. That's not a zombies like a map drop or something. It's just something silly.
Yeah.
It is kind of goofy, but it is what it is. I think the Squid Game event was just in poor taste in terms of timing, but I don't think that doesn't mean that they're not taking their game and their issues seriously. It's just I get that they may not always respond in the way we want to. And same thing with like zombie patch notes and stuff. I won't ramble on too much, but I mean Treyarch released a patch for zombies that was not very well received. It nerfed one of the
Yes.
swords in the map
Yes.
and a couple of other things. And they literally reverted every single one
Yeah.
of those poor changes that we didn't want. And they did that pretty quickly, I would say. So they're listening for sure, and they're taking action on a lot of things. Is it the thing that you necessarily want them to take action on? Not always. But that's kind of how it is. I mean, during Black Ops 4, last thing I'll say is
Yeah.
during BO4, or I maybe after BO4, but in times when the zombies community was having a hard time, Vanguard, for example, um, it didn't seem like it's like everybody cares about their own thing.
Yeah.
When Warzone's on fire, the Warzone people complain and like it's all about them, you know? But they don't really care about like if zombies is not doing well. And I would say it's probably true for like zombie players that don't really care as much if Warzone's having trouble because they don't
Right.
really play that. So it's like it just depends on I think it depends on the corner of the internet you're in and the community that you find yourself in a lot of the
Mhm.
time,
Mhm.
because I don't have much problems with zombies still. I'm still playing it. Maybe I'm not grinding every day, but I'm still playing it quite a fair bit. I'm playing other games and other CODs too, but zombies, all things considered, is still not in that bad of shape. Um, so I
I
think it
feel like
depends a lot on
zombies
what
is
corner of the
cooking.
internet you're in. I think so too. They said for actually tomorrow's 115 day, they're releasing a big like zombies update blog, and I assume that means, well, they confirmed it, but that means more additional information on the new zombies map. So great for that. This again doesn't mean the game doesn't have issues that need to be addressed, but it just means that um, it's being actively worked on.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm gonna look at it from the outside looking in, I feel like zombies is top, multiplayer second, Warzone people are last, and they're like, you know, the meme where it's like the girl drowning, and then it's like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
dead
the
skull. The
skeleton. Yeah,
Warzone is down there for sure. Like,
sure.
I'm
But
not gonna lie.
I've been there.
Yeah,
Like Vanguard,
you've been there for a
that
couple
was
years.
zombies. Yeah, it's cyclical, man. It's like it's right now it's Warzone time to be underwater, because I've been many years underwater. Like I know I've been there before. Um, so that I would agree with you. That's kind of I would assess the situation of the game to be looking like that.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I just feel like right now it's just everything is on the negative end. But I want to go back to your Call of Duty thing.
Mhm.
I really do think that it was bad taste with the. I saw a bunch of people complaining about, hey, we can't fix this, but we can sell you a Squid Games bundle, and then on top of that, they're bringing in this premium edition now, where it's
Yep.
like you got to pay. And I'm going to say this, and this might get a lot of flack. If the game is free to play, I don't care. You
Sure.
you can charge me as much as you want for skin. Not really, but you get what I'm saying. And the fact that you're still charging $70, the reason Fortnite gets away with that is because you can download the game for
'Cause it's
free.
free.
And the
Yeah.
Battle Pass has paid for itself, I think, since 2017 or 2018. Like if you buy the Battle Pass, you get enough points to get the next Battle Pass.
Yep.
So if not, you get to spend like $5 or something like that to get the next battle pass. So again, I feel like Call of Duty sometimes is trying to copy Fortnite. And it's like, well, why aren't you copying them in the good ways? Okay, make the game free to play, make it cross play, have a good anti-cheat, um, have a good battle pass that you can earn on its own. It gives you COD points. What was the other one I was thinking? Oh, don't change your engine every year. Fortnite changed their engine one time, and that was it.
Mhm.
And that was like a big upgrade just so they could do swimming and what the game is now. Um, I feel like they've gone backwards in a lot of ways where there's
Yeah.
just so many cooks in the kitchen, and it feels like they just keep every single year. It feels like we get something, and it's like, okay, this is not bad, and then by the end, it's really good, but then we've moved on to the next thing. And
Yeah.
I've heard multiple people say that it's just a cycle of, all right, we're gonna get to it, and it's 6 months in now. I mean, January, what are we? 3 months in? 4 months in?
Yep. Yep. Approximately.
We're like 3, 4 months into the game already, and Call of Duty does not have it has a year life cycle, but it does not have a year life cycle. It's gotten shorter and shorter every year. Where like you used to play
Yeah.
till like March or April, and then now
Which
it's
is kind of
now
yeah.
it's like freaking December. People are like, all right, what's new? Let's go.
Yeah, I do think and we can talk about the next COD as well if you want, but I think zombies might be the exception to that right now, where it's like I do think the zombies community is sort of still waiting on bated breath for info about the new map, and then we still have, well, if you include DLC 2, we have 3 more maps before Black Ops 6 is over. 3 more is pretty good for I think where we're at. Um, and yeah, it is unfortunate that there are other communities dealing with big issues of the game. But again, to me, that's mostly Twitter talk. If I turn off Twitter and I just go and play Black Ops 6, like I don't experience the same degree of negativity or the same level of issues in my own bubble just because
Yeah.
maybe I'm not interacting with those parts of the game. And, for when Warzone was thriving and zombies was underwater, Warzone people probably thought COD was great because they don't see the issues on other sides of the game. Um, but I to caveat that away from a second. I think the Squid Game like premium pass, yeah, that is very annoying. I also think that was probably like just underwriting with like Netflix and Activision and like it was probably part and parcel of the deal itself. Like, I don't think Treyarch themselves wanted to do that. It's probably like a way, way higher up thing at
Oh
Activision and
yeah, for
Netflix that,
sure. For
the
sure.
big suits are putting that one together. That doesn't make it okay. That just is like, it is annoying. Um, and hopefully maybe they learned something from that. I personally think that if you're that bent out of shape about the game right now, please go play something
Yeah.
else.
I mean,
Um,
I even tweeted that a couple weeks ago. Like, and I
Yep.
think you're seeing more and more people do that. Like, I think Aiden's a big Warzone guy. He came out last night and was like, I will not be playing this game. I will give season 2 a try to see if I like it. Um,
Yeah.
but again, I also right now don't, I
And then
mean,
come back to play COD when you feel like it. It doesn't mean you have
yeah,
to swear it off forever. It's just you can develop a more healthy relationship with the game uh instead of maybe where you are now if you are feeling like overwhelmingly negative about COD. Um
that
there's a
was the
healthy
best thing
amount
I
of
did, man. The best thing I did
exactly
was do
same
that,
here.
was step away. And I've even had thoughts to that right now is try a couple games on the channel, because you're the one who told me, like, hey man, if you're gonna try something new, just throw it up there and see what happens. The worst they can do is flop and you move on.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
I think so many creators get scared of um
the
well, I mean,
paycheck. It's
trying
the
trying something
paycheck.
new is always scary to begin with, but yeah, I mean, kind of risking a paycheck for sure, and also like risking alienating your audience. But that's precisely the thing that allows you to expand and do other games. And for me in particular, like especially this month and everything like that has been, I'm constantly trying to develop and build new skills as an editor and as a creator. And I think it's that skill set that actually allows you to thrive in other communities or do other games. And that's why I think I've been around as long as I haven't been able to do other games to the degree that I have. Um, is I've been forced to develop a more refined approach to content that allows me to do things in Call of Duty when I want to, but also I can do something else as well. And I think you have to be okay risking alienating some of your audience in order to ever gain any new viewers ever. Um,
But I think too, if people with Warzone 2, I could just tell that I was in a bad mood. And
yep,
I think
yep,
audiences really can see that.
yeah,
And
100%.
I just with this new style that I've been doing, I get on and I'm like, this is actually fun. And there will
Yeah,
be probably a time where it's not fun, but now I've learned, okay, when you're not having fun, go tackle another project that's in a totally different realm and just kind
yeah.
of use that brain somewhere else for a little bit. And then you can kind of get a new perspective and refresh. And you go, okay, let me go back to COD now.
And you might learn some skills, doing like another thing, expanding,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you bring that back to your COD content, and it's all the better for it.
Yep.
Um, like ultimately, I think that's the key to survival content wise. It's crazy just because I think audiences are a lot smarter than some creators give them credit for. Where if you're genuinely like not interested, you're not having fun, and you don't want to be there, like people can tell like that. And whether or not they even like realize it, I think it's easy for them to be turned off to your content if it's constantly energy draining and negative
Yeah.
and doom posting, right? It's like I I never ever want to be that creator. It's just not for me. Like personally, I'll spend my time posting things that I'm having fun posting because otherwise YouTube would feel like a job, and that's precisely the thing I don't want it to feel like. And I've been lucky enough to have enough people that watch me and watch me do things that I find fun that I can continue to do that, and I'm incredibly grateful. So it's like I never want to put that at risk. But I just think that like if you're not enjoying Call of Duty at the moment, instead of like writing 40,000 page essays on Twitter,
Yeah.
go play another game. There's tons of fun games out there that you're you're missing a world of enjoyment by tunneling into this thing that you hate.
Yeah.
Um
I totally agree.
and I love Call of Duty. It's just that there are times that uh that especially in years that the zombies community's been underwater, I'm not going to sit there and force a
And you've been
Vanguard video.
underwater. You've been underwater
Vanguard
a few
sucks every.
times.
I've been underwater 4 times in my career, like seriously underwater.
Yeah.
Um, and so I could either go the doom posting route and just make a zombie sucks video every day, or I could go play something I actually like and make videos that I actually like. And I would rather choose the latter,
Yeah.
to be honest.
I mean, I think what was the other thing I was going to say about that? Oh, Call of Duty. I do think as wild as this sounds, I feel like if they were to come out and just be like kind of what they did in Verdansk when it got so bad with all the hackers and they just were like, "Hey guys, that's what I feel like is missing from Call of Duty right now." And
What's up?
I want to defend a lot of these people complaining just a little bit because I do think they
Sure.
have a right to complain. I do think they go a little
Explain
extreme.
what you mean by that. Yeah.
But I think Call of Duty, I feel like in the last couple of years, the communication has gone down the tubes. Like they just don't have any community managers anymore that are talking to people and just giving updates. I don't know if that's because they can't give updates or because there's a higher up going like, "Hey, just stay quiet." I feel like
Hmm.
everybody that works at Call of Duty, like as soon as their game releases, they're off social media. Like they just delete social media and never come back. And I'm like,
Sure.
the Matt guy, Matt from Call of Duty, which we've met at COD Next, and I've had conversations with him in the DMs. Um, he's like the lead developer at Treyarch. He was tweeting all the time during COD Next. He was doing all the presentations, all the marketing stuff. As soon as the game has went live, I would like to pull up his Twitter actually right now. I want to see
He man disappeared
I don't
day
think he's
one.
posted a tweet. What's his last name again?
Is it Matt Scronce you're talking about?
Yes, yes. How do you spell that? Oh,
I
here it is. I
think
got it. I got it. I got it. I
STR.
got it. I got it. Okay, so last tweet, December 10th, 2024, and it was a retweet. Now,
Okay.
his last tweet by himself, like he tweeted something, November 18th.
Yep, that'll do it.
So it's like, I just wish as a studio head, and I even said, like, we were DMing back and forth, not flexing DMing, but like we were DMing back and forth. And then I DM'd him again last, like, I don't know, was it a couple weeks ago? Like, hey man, I said something kind of encouraging. I was kind of like, hey man, I'm still enjoying the multiplayer side of things. Like, hope
Yeah.
all is well or something. No reply. So I'm just like, did they just go and disappear? Because before that,
Mhm.
I would DM and be like, all right, yeah, cool. Like, replied into like the next, he would be like an hour or two, like as he replied.
Sure.
Um, so
I think
we've
I
had
think
that
there's
with
a
the Ashton Williams girl with on
yeah.
Infinity Ward. What's the main guy's name too? Who said the corner camping and stuff like safe space. What's his Joe
Oh,
Seaside? Seaside.
yeah.
He's
Yeah, yeah.
hasn't tweeted in years.
Yeah, that guy disappeared.
Yeah, I don't know. I just find it like I believe if a dev would come out and be like, "Hey guys, we are working as hard as we can. We want to apologize just for, whatever issue you're running into. We're working around the clock." I think if you said that, it would bring the tensions way down. Like,
Yeah.
because it would
Yeah.
just be like, okay, at least they hear us. They don't,
Yeah,
they're not
so
even, yes, they're coming in. Okay, the reason I say that is look how well received that zombies thing that you talked about was. Where they came out and they're like, hey guys, we did something. We shouldn't have done it. We're reverting it. Thanks for the feedback. I mean, you would have thought the world was becoming perfect again because it was just of how well that went off with everybody. So
sure.
I think if they were to come out and just be like, hey guys, we're waiting for Verdansk and Warzone to give you a big fat upgrade. We're working around the clock. Just hang with us until we get there. Imagine what you would get from people. Oh, okay. Like, obviously they
Yeah.
probably got rushed out on the new Warzone. Most sane people would think like this, I think. Okay, they got rushed out. They had to integrate. They didn't really want to do it that way, but they did. They were forced. Okay, now really they should have launched the new Warzone when Verdansk was ready and everything was ready and all the connections were wired together. And then at that point you come out and people go, "Oh, okay, they actually care."
Yeah. I think it's a balancing act. You can tell me what you think about this. I think there and I've learned this from observing Call of Duty studios and different game studios is there I think like okay, there's two extremes. There's old Treyarch, which I'm gonna say is like World at War to BO3,
Yeah.
and there's I'm gonna say Halo Infinite over here. So like Treyarch's old approach to at least communicating with the community was almost none. Like old Treyarch, you would never hear anything from them, virtually nothing. That was very much like they're in the shadows, very cryptic, and sometimes that complete lack of communication was frustrating and annoying and
Even
felt
with
like the community
Vandahar,
wasn't being listened to.
I feel like I remember Vandahar being a
Well,
lot in the mix.
mm, yeah,
Like,
I mean that's true. That's true. That
like
is true. Vonderhaar was
I feel like he was the guy.
fairly communicative. Yeah, and there would be other people like Tony Flame, I don't know if Drew Marlowe was that active on Twitter, but I mean Treyarch was all things considered a little more quiet. They would speak up when they need to. Um, in my opinion, anyways. However, like that sometimes doesn't always cut it, and I think sometimes people need more communication. They want to know more. But I think Halo Infinite's on the other extreme, where I watched that game over communicate. I don't know if you paid attention to Infinite like after its launch a couple years ago, and like when that game is having major issues. I think they over communicated. They would drop like a 60-page PDF about how their like anti-cheat works in like painstaking detail. And I'm like, this isn't helpful either, to be honest. Um,
Yeah, we ain't
I
going
think
through all that low, bro, kind of thing.
Infinite's problem was over communication.
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
might not and that might sound silly and people might not think that exists, but I do think it does. It's harder to pinpoint exactly when it happens or what the negative consequences are, but it is real. And right now, I think Call of Duty's doing okay communication wise. Not the best they've ever been, but it certainly beats no communication, and it also beats over communication. Um, I think Infinity Ward is, or at least like recent Infinity Ward, like Modern Warfare 2018 MW2, when everyone was radio silent on that game. Like the complete lack of any acknowledgement from Infinity Ward
Yeah,
about Modern
yeah.
Warfare 2 was off-putting, right? Like that was off-putting. But I also don't want to see COD go the Halo Infinite route either and release an 80-page PDF about. Well, I mean, they kind of did that with the SPMM thing, which is also funny, right? That's an example of that over communication thing. Literally, Call of Duty released like this giant
Yeah,
document about how and saying, yeah, skill-based matchmaking is kind of in the game and this is how it works,
yeah.
but that's still not satisfactory to people. They still complain about SPMM. People still complain about matchmaking. Like that didn't solve the issue. So I don't think over communication magically makes it all go away either. I honestly think Treyarch's done an okay job with communication. Like pretty good. Not like perfect, but definitely could be way, way, way worse. It's all about perspective in some ways.
Yeah. I just think what was I going to say about your point? You had a good point, and I was going to piggyback off of it, but I can't remember. It was something with communication. Anyway,
Like over communication.
yeah, over communication. Well, what the heck was it? Just the fact that I'm trying to pull this one out of my back of my brain. I had a really good point too. Okay.
I think if you're fishing for that, I think basically like like there were a few studio heads like Vonderhaar and stuff that would communicate with the community, and having like a figurehead for each aspect of the game is kind of important. Like
Yeah.
we haven't really had that. I mean, Kevin Drew is the figurehead of Zombies, but he's not really actively talking to the community that much on Twitter. Like Blundell back in the day never even had Twitter, so he like you Zombies had no communication on social media pretty much.
I feel like there was more videos made back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah. They
Vandahar
would
would
be
come
like
out as like a little
interviews.
blog post and he was getting
Yep.
interviewed. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know. I think I just wish they would come out and say a little bit here and there. But again, maybe they're not allowed. That's the crazy
Yep.
part. We just don't know. And
Which
that's
can be the case, and sometimes there's valid reasons for it. As like I said with the case of the anti cheat, if the Warzone hacking problem is so bad that they're having to maybe build a brand new anti cheat from the ground up. I'm not saying that's what they're doing, but hypothetically, if they were, they couldn't talk about it because just talking about it is a way for malicious, cheaters to circumvent their new system.
yeah.
It would be better for the game if they don't say anything at all about it. But of course, that's not what the community wants to hear. They want to hear them talking about it. They want to see results. But it's like that's the tricky thing with anti-cheat. And yeah, I mean, it's like it's kind of a catch-22, but it's hopefully they figure it out. I don't want Warzone to be in bad shape as much as I don't really play that mode or
Dude,
even
I'm completely out on that. I got people saying, "Hey man, you ever gonna play Warzone again?" I'm like, dude, I
no.
especially not now. I mean, my goodness, why would I want to come back now to that game? I feel like it's still Rebirth. It's still the old map from last year for the main map, and then the Area 99. I mean, I told you this after COD Next. I'm like, that map that's not very good in my opinion, to be honest.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, I want to. I want to do two more topics actually, and I was looking on my feed here, and I wanted to pick your brain. Kind of,
Yeah,
we're gonna go a little bit transform to another topic here. Did you see the tweet that said the money that they were spending on Call of Duty, like Modern Warfare 19, was
I did. Yeah, how much
500
each game
million,
costs to produce?
Cold
Mhm.
War was 700 million, and they were hovering around the same sold as Black Ops 1, I think it was. They had 30 million in sales.
Mhm.
What do you think? I mean, because obviously that's not very good, correct? Like, if Black Ops 1, I think I had the tweet. It was like, these are not specific numbers, but just like, for example, let's say Black Ops 1 cost 50 million to make and they sold 30. And then Cold War
Mhm.
had 700 million to make and sold 30. It's like that number does not do. That's not a very good
Yeah, well, there's
ratio.
I mean, I'm not an economist or nor am I a game developer, but I think you kind of have to take that with a grain of salt because I think you have to adjust for number one, you kind of have to adjust for inflation, but you also have to consider that like video games have just become so increasingly expensive to make over
Yeah.
the years. And also that doesn't mean that like Activision is losing tons of money every year on COD because if they were, they wouldn't still be around. Um,
Oh, I
like
still think they're doing just fine. But I'm
yeah,
I'm
like
wondering like
I
is
also
that
don't
why
think
you're
they need
seeing these bundles pop up and these extra premium cuz
could be.
the money ain't
I
coming in like it used to, so we got to get a little bit
yeah.
extra throughout the year.
I also don't think every game needs to cost $1 billion to make, you know?
Mhm.
Like I think you can make a good Call of Duty game on a budget of uh maybe a handful of a couple million. Um but I don't know their numbers. I've not seen their balance sheet or anything, but I would assume that right now a pretty sizable majority of their income and revenue does come from microtransactions. Um, and so maybe they're in combination with the actual sale of the game is how they're making their money.
Yeah.
I think they're less concerned about selling individual copies to make all of their money. I think most of their cash is probably from microtransactions. I would guess, but I don't really know. Um, I just don't, I mean I think that you have to consider that games have gotten more expensive to make over time,
Yes.
and it's also been like over a decade since Black Ops 1. So I mean
It's a
the
different
economy's
it's a different
it's a
gaming
different
landscape.
yeah, yeah. So I don't think they're really that comparable. Like I think it's cool to look at those on a chart and be like, wow, that's crazy, but I don't think you can really get anything incredibly useful out of that. Um Cold War did take a lot more money than I thought it would take to make, but
That was
again,
the I'm guessing that was the studio issue where they were
I'm
all
gonna have
over
to
the place.
yeah, I'm gonna have to assume. And again, I don't think you need $1 billion to make a good COD. And I also I don't think that simply pouring more money into a Call of Duty game makes it better. I
Yeah.
don't believe that. I don't believe that for a lot of things, but I certainly don't believe it for Call of Duty. Um, so I did see that chart, and I saw that like Black Ops 3 didn't have the biggest budget ever, but it sold very, very well. I think that's best case scenarios. You can make a game on a smaller budget,
Yeah.
and if it sells great, perfect. And I assume microtransaction revenue would also come with that. So yeah, I know people were like blowing that up on Twitter and be like, damn, COD sucks now. I don't think that's the lesson to take away from that.
Yeah, I mean,
The lesson
listen,
is video games are very expensive to make now.
I mean, there's always going to be an issue with Call of Duty. I've learned that being in the
Yeah.
community. If you can turn off Twitter and social media, you probably love Call of Duty. Like
Dude, if you turn off social media,
you'll love your
if you
life more
get
too.
dude, chat, lads, listen. If you get rid of social media and you go outside, life is 2010 all over again. You just
it,
don't know it.
it really is. I've been trying to find this balance, which is not working very well so far this year, of trying to be less on social media, but the job is so
Yeah,
social
me too.
media. It
Me
literally
too.
is social media. Like, I'm kind of envious sometimes of people are like, yeah, I'm taking I was talking to my buddy the other day. He's like, I'm going to do 90 days off social media. And I'm like, I physically could
Great.
not do that. Like, I would lose my job. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
need to know.
yeah.
I need to know what's going on in the COD scene so I can do my work at Boston Breach and stay up to date with everything. And then, you know, also my own personal content as well.
Sure.
You got to check what's going on in the landscape. I think you need to be as a creator kind of in front of people, like tweeting and Instagram and just kind of giving your life
It
out there.
it's good to have a your finger on the pulse of the community. That's like really important. And dude, I completely agree. If I didn't have to use Twitter in order to like be effective at my job and do what I got to do, I wouldn't be on Twitter at all. Um
Yeah, Twitter has definitely gotten. And listen, I was a bit. I like. we'll get a little controversial for a little bit here.
Go
I
ahead.
really enjoyed Elon. Like I liked Elon Musk. I still do, because I like what he. I feel like he's forward thinking. I appreciate somebody that's forward thinking. Um, but I think with Twitter, he kind of let it go a little too. I get the free speech thing. Like I get that
Sure.
I get the
Yep.
mindset of that, and I'm down for free speech as well. But I think there's also a. Is there? Am I crazy to say there's a little bit too? I'm seeing too much kind of thing. And
It's
he,
I think you can tell me if if this is sort of what you're getting at. My biggest problem with post Elon Twitter. Again, I'm not really pro or anti Elon.
yeah,
He's just a guy. I don't look at it like that. But since the Elon buyout, what I've noticed, and this is something that not exclusive to Twitter. Pretty much all social media struggles with this. Is that the amplification of negativity seems to be
yes,
heavily ingrained into the algorithms. Like Elon's whole approach is we want to maximize unregretted user time, which they've gotten good about the maximizing time part because Twitter is very addicting, unfortunately. But I get off Twitter, eh, unfortunately, after doom scrolling for like 20 minutes, and I'm like, I feel like trash, like
yeah.
that.
I mean,
I want my 20 minutes back.
well, it's like either
Um,
somebody's getting canceled, or you
yep.
see somebody die, or
Yeah.
like, it's just, hey, this news is happening, and it's the worst possible news imaginable.
I'll
And
tell you what I think. I'll tell you what I think. The other core of the issue is since Elon monetized Twitter and allowed people to like make money from
oh,
posting.
it's all
I don't know if
clickbait,
you're
clickbait.
yeah. So like now there is literally a financial incentive to rage bait,
Yes,
which
yes,
like you if you don't understand that, you are the product. Like if you're not aware of that, when you go on Twitter and get rage baited by stuff, like these people are taking advantage of you for money.
yeah,
It's like there's a financial incentive to be boisterous and annoying and negative and like again, same we won't get into it, but same thing with like how I kind of feel about like AI content is you need to pull the financial incentive away from those things and they will largely be suppressed.
yeah.
Uh I think monetizing posts on Twitter was one of the worst things. Like, dude, I'll once a month I'll get a notification that says Twitter paid you $12, and I'm like, I don't cool, like great.
Yeah,
I'll go buy a
you
McChicken
got a
later. But
Chipotle. You got a Chipotle bowl.
exactly, exactly. But it's very easy to like for somebody to get addicted to that, especially if they want to game the system to make lots of money.
Yeah,
It's literally post the most outrageous, shocking, and or rage bait things to drive engagement and like what you're not realizing now is that if I'll say this, if you're interacting with something, let's say social media, if you don't know what the product is, you are the product. Like
yeah,
right now that so in social media like you are the product. Unfortunately, we're being milked for our attention and the no algorithm has been able to really figure that out yet. How they don't amplify negativity.
yeah,
So you have to be very careful about that. I think that's the problem. Most fundamentally is the monetization of it because now there's a it's not just like funny shit posting. There's a financial incentive to get people riled up, which if you don't understand that is catastrophic, then you're not paying attention.
yeah. Um, quickly, a last topic. I got like 5 minutes.
That has
Um,
nothing to do with Call of Duty, by the
that
way.
is, yeah. We branched off a little bit, but I like to do that. We've talked about branching off a little bit at the end of the podcast, so there you go. There's our little branch off. Last thing, Sledgehammer Games developer, multiplayer developer, Greg Reisdorf
Yeah, yeah.
left the studio after 15 years.
Goodbye to a lad.
He, another guy that was very active during MW3, I feel like. So we're losing
Oh
a
yeah,
good
yeah,
one.
yeah. Mhm.
But I've also seen people say Ghost of Hope, Charlie Intel, Modern Warzone, that Sledgehammer is still pretty dialed in. So I'm just gonna listen to what they say because a lot of the time they're right. I'm just hoping that hey, we're good. Maybe he's stepping on to do different things, but great communicator because we got to go back to that. He
Yep.
was doing a ton of interviews and all that good stuff. So
Yeah.
Um,
And it's also like, obviously he's a great dev, great guy. He's very nice too. I met him a few times. He's very nice person.
yeah,
Uh, I think it's just one of those pieces out of what you might call old Sledgehammer that are gone.
yeah,
And people, are clamoring for Sledgehammer to make Advanced Warfare 2. They could do that. I'm sure it's possible, but you realize like virtually none of the actual like uh leadership roles of the people that originally made Advanced Warfare are even at Sledgehammer anymore. Pretty much none of them are.
yeah,
Glenn Schofield, Michael Condrey are gone. Greg, tons of other guys
yeah.
like the people that pioneered Advanced Warfare
All
aren't
these
there.
studios are there's
It's
nobody there. There's
it's
like
same with
one or
it's
two
same with
from each, maybe.
it's same with Treyarch. Like the people that made Black Ops 6 are largely not the people that made Black Ops 1. That doesn't
Yes.
mean they can't both be good games, but they're not it's not the same studio exactly. Like yes and no. Um and Sledgehammer is a very different studio than what it was on its first Call of Duty, which technically was Modern Warfare 3, but their own actual game being Advanced Warfare, like very different studio now. I don't mean Modern Warfare 3 as in like 2023. I mean 2011, I
Yes,
think.
yes.
20,
It's sad that
2012,
we have to
whatever.
do that, but
OG MW3.
yes, OG. I just say OG now. That's the best approach, I feel like.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think we're I don't know. I have
I
hope
think
for Call of Duty. I was a doom and gloom guy during Warzone 2 and MW2. I think I had
yep,
a reason to be, by the way. I still will
sure.
I will hang by that. But even in the Vanguard and the Cold War and the Modern Warfare 19 era, like there were some enjoyable times. And listen, when the next COD comes out, people go, man, I miss. Well, actually, they might not because I think the new Call of Duty that's made by Treyarch is going to feel very similar to Black Ops Six.
Give it 3 years. 3 years people will be like, "Man, Black Ops 6 was
Well,
really
I think
underrated,
when they've
guys."
really refined, like when we're 2 3 years into this Omni movement system, and we're like,
Yeah.
whoa, this feels incredible. Like you go play BO6, it feels incredible to me. So yeah. Um, I don't know. I'm still having faith that this franchise is still doing its thing. I hope it doesn't get the Halo treatment, but
Yeah.
I think there's a stronger fan base for Call of Duty. I think they're more
Call
hardcore.
of Duty's not going anywhere, lads. Like, well, I last thing we don't when I'm sure you saw that Scump video where he's like, guys, I'm gonna be honest, I think this is the worst state Call of Duty's ever been in.
I saw that and I was like, there is
I'm
no
like,
chance.
like, did you exist during Vanguard? Did you exist during MW2? Like, I don't know. But again, that's the
You
whole
can go
perspective
farther
thing.
back. I mean, I think
Yeah.
in the Ghost era,
Did you exist during Black Ops 4 or Ghosts or,
four and Ghosts and A. I mean, there's been a COD every other year that people go, yeah, we're chalked.
Yep. COD's dead. This is it, guys.
COD's
Bye.
dead. That's it. Have a good day. Okay,
I
we'll
I
see you
don't think
next year.
yeah.
We'll see you
Yeah,
in the next
exactly.
title.
Like I don't think we're in the dark ages really at all. I mean, it could be way worse, but it's the whole perspective thing. Like during Vanguard and Modern Warfare 2, Scump was probably had a better view on the game than is right now because it's affecting his community more, whereas people like me were literally at the bottom of the Marianas Trench underwater.
Yes,
Like
yes.
in our perspectives, COD had never been in a worse state. But right now, I cannot say that's true. At
I
least from my view.
No, nope. I'm with you. I think Warzone. Yes, Warzone's down bad atrociously, but I feel like the other products are feeling kind of good right now.
Hey, and maybe this is a good thing because maybe this encourages them to actually split off Warzone, which is what we've been preaching for years and
I
years.
think that's exactly
Maybe
what
that'll
this is
give
going
them
to do.
the kick in the pants to actually commit to that.
Yep, I think that's exactly what this year. Sometimes you need that. I'm telling you, you need that really bad year in something to learn from it, and hopefully Call of Duty does just that.
We can only hope.
But I think that's gonna do it. Episode 27?
27?
27. Chop, you did have an announcement about something.
Listen, lads, I've been reading the comments. I've been seeing y'all. You said Chop get a new camera. Listen, lads, I got you. Episode 50, I promise I will have a brand new camera. I promise.
Episode 50.
Episode 50.
And we're gonna be back
That'll
on
be
a
the one.
regular schedule now that New Year's
Yeah,
here.
episode 50 will come by a lot quicker
Yeah,
than what our recent couple weeks have been.
Yeah,
So
I really I think we'll be good, but we're gonna try to get a couple guests. If you're still listening this far, let us know a couple guests that you'd wanna see. You most of the time you guys do that anyway, but I'm actually gonna do a call to action here. Let me know in the comments if you made it this far. What I mean, honestly, I'm down for any Warzone zombies multiplayer guy you got suggested in the comments. Thank you for leaving the reviews on Spotify. Me and Chop just talked about this. We're at like 320. Insane. Apple, I
man.
haven't checked, but we're always a little behind on the Apple. But if you listen on Apple, feel free. I think that is it. We will probably have a guest on the next episode if I can finally nail down this guy's schedule. And Chop, anything else? I don't really have anything else.
Think that I mean, honestly, since we haven't been doing our podcast, it's not like we've been MIA. We've been doing a lot of stuff on our personal channels.
Yes.
So if y'all haven't, if my viewers haven't checked out T Dog and vice versa, you know, y'all can do that as well. But in the meantime, we will have some guests coming on the show very soon, and we'll have some cool stuff available. So yeah, thank you guys for everything on YouTube and on Spotify and on Apple. Y'all are the goats. Thank you.
Yes. Make sure you follow us on social media. As we just talked about how we hated social media, we will be on there still.
I'll see you on Twitter after this, guys.
I'll see you on Twitter. I'm scrolling through it right now. All right, everybody. That is it. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.